Mario Andretti 9 were an unbeatable combination. Together, they steamrolled to the 1978 Formula One World Championship. Although revolutionary at the time, the Lotus 79 has long been retired. But thanks to the joy of iRacing, this Grand Prix legend lives on. Today, our drivers take on the swooping contours of Oulton Park in the leafy Cheshire countryside. Welcome to the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series, live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. I'm Peter Mackay, and I'm delighted to be joined in the booth by GSRC's very own flying fin, Ossian Puaka. Behind the scenes is our director Sean Crackers Ambrose, using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Ossian, Oulton Park, one of the jewels in the British motor racing crown. Tell us a little bit about this wonderful circuit.
Oh, it's just a brilliant circuit, Peter. A brilliant circuit. It's narrow, it's fast, it's faster than you think. You got 12 corners, and this is international circuit without the chicanes. So you have nothing slowing you down. 2.6 miles, 4.3 kilometers, as you see on the bottom right side of your screen. In Cheshire, England, as you said, on beautiful countryside. I can talk about it all day long, but let's send us to the lap preview so you can see what we are talking about here.
All right, we've got Juha Noralampi and the GSRC Lotus 79, so let's do a lap around Oulton Park. Old Hall Corner is deceptive, and you'll want to late apex it, or else you'll push wide on the exit. Coming off the corner, you can use a bit of the AstroTurf, but not a lot. Up to Dittons, this little kink makes the entry to Cascades pretty blind. Knowing how to line up your car will be crucial for a great run through this left-hander. And honestly, a good launch from here will be pretty important to your lap time in general, since it's flat out from here to the Shell hairpin. There'll be no lifting around the frighteningly fast island bend. Heavy braking into the hairpin means you can expect to see a few pass attempts. But despite the banking, making moves around the outside rarely pans out. It's another long, fast run after this, so make sure you're confident getting on the gas. We're bypassing the Britain chicane in this layout, hopping up and over the crest where you can really tell how bumpy this track is. Let it drift off to the left and get ready for Knickerbrook. Fling it through here as fast as you dare, but don't clip that inside curb too hard. No time to rest because you're immediately climbing up through Clay Hill and then Water Tower. It'll take some bravery to get the car through Druids properly with its double apex and crested exit. When it goes wrong here, it goes wrong fast. After that, it's down to Lodge, where it's a surprisingly slow corner compared to the rest of the circuit. The track falls away coming off of it, so be careful with the power. From there, straight line deer leap, and if you kept it together, you've now finished a lap around Oulton Park.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that guide around this incredible circuit here at Oulton Park, and of course, quite a historical layout today without the Steve Hislop chicane and the John Britton chicane. So this is super fast coming through Knickerbrook. Let's take a look how our drivers and teams championships are looking so far after last weekend's race at Le Mans. Here are the driver standings with my colleague Ossian.
Thank you, Peter. And Chris Baumann leading the championship, the Swiss driver, after our third place man Thomas Simon missed the last round at Le Mans. So Chris Baumann leading just 8 points ahead of the Austrian Superman Gernot Fritsch. Thomas Simon, as said, he is in P number 3. Alex Milward sitting in 4th place. He's going to be the hometown hero today. And Teemu Vaskilampi rounding out your top 5. Can the Finn bring the magic here today? We'll wait and see. And Peter, of course, we have the Classic Teams Championship here as well. How's that looking?
So in the Teams Championship, it's, as a Scotsman, happy to see Candy Team Tyrrell up top. Of course, the team that took Sir Jackie Stewart to 3 world titles. Second is Team Essex Lotus. Third is the Parmalat Racing Team, the Brabhams. Fourth is Warsteiner Arrows, with a very fortunate sponsor there. Having a brewery sponsor is always good. And fifth is Equip Renault Elf.
Yes, indeed. A lot of historical names here at Oulton Park. Lots of interesting things as well. And the story of the race, well, there are multiple. We have many top-level drivers. We have a narrow and fast track. We talked about it briefly before the race, but of course, for our viewers who sadly couldn't be flies on the wall present, Peter, overtaking here is going to be very difficult. and we have other factors to consider as well. But Oulton Park, very fast track, very difficult to overtake. So this qualifying here is very important as Victor Rodriguez goes fastest so far.
Yep, these two, you're absolutely spot on, Ossie, and these 2 laps are the most important 2 laps of the day. Got to get straight on with it. And you talked about some Finnish magic. Well, Teemu Vaskalampi currently sitting in 2nd position, but just pipped by Freek Tenkate with a 1 minute 13.8, so straight on the pace. And yeah, this is without these chicanes, without the John Britton chicane and the Steve Hislop chicane, Ossie, and it's huge commitment heading into Knickerbrook and up Clay Hill.
Oh yeah, it is. And one thing that you can't clearly see in the pictures, as we are riding with Freek Tenkate, the Dutch driver, on his 2nd lap in the beautiful black, orange and white livery. He's trying to improve here as Tamas Shimon goes fastest. The bad butt from Budapest, as we've said. Oh, Freek goes very wide indeed, and that's one of the things you gotta watch out for. The bumps here. Not only is the track narrow and fast, it's also extremely bumpy. And the one thing this ground effect machine doesn't like, well, that's bumps.
Yeah, and that's the one thing that this makes this car so special, and it was really revolutionary at the time, which took Lotus to the 1978 World Championship in such dominant fashion with Mario Andretti and Ronnie Peterson at the wheel, as Freek Tenkate does not improve there on his lap time, but still sitting in 2nd position right now. But yes, the ground effect, the aerodynamic effect, just means is who's going to be more brave, you or the car? Well, normally it's the car that's the most brave, with its incredible suction into the ground with those ground effects aerodynamics.
Yeah, and Gernot Fletcher right now on his 1st lap coming to the final corner. We watch Steve Bycroft. He's sitting in what appears to be the 5th place right now. Tamas Shimon as well following him. Gernot is taking his 1st lap across the line. Tamas taking his 2nd lap does not improve. Gernot here, and his time 1:13.603. That's gonna take him all the way up to the provisional pole position. So Gernot, well, he is back, and the Austrian doesn't want to relinquish another championship. On the screens here, Andy T, who's had some impressive performances this season. Can he keep them along? Or so far, not excellent on his 1st lap of qualifying, about half a second off the pace, still good. And this man I want to talk about just briefly, if we keep the pictures on him. Edmund Blackadder, car number 23. He is on his 1st broadcast race, the moment he's been waiting for all season long, and he promptly spins.
Well, Ossian, your commentators are clearly strong today, but I'm sure he'll recover and have a good afternoon while live here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Great to see Teemu Vaskalampi back out there as well. Oh, now that's interesting. That car that was just on screen there, if our producer can go back to it, the white and blue car that was just on screen, that has a very close sponsor to my heart, Dixon's of Perth. That's the town where I'm from. Forgive me, I just missed that. I think that was Sam Dobby. Currently sitting in the 14th place. Off track now.
Yeah, Sam Dobby. So, well, a lot of liveries here that are interesting. Gernot right away had to do a little bit of 2-foot magic save magic on his 2nd lap. Doesn't improve there. Andy T coming across the line. He does improve a little bit, elevating himself all the way up to P number 3. So very close here in qualifying. Edmund Blackadder, of course, he will not improve on this lap as they are winding down the laps. Let's see who is still without doing tail laps. Actually, Edmund has only done 1, so he still has 1 try to go. Teemu is on his lap number 3. He will not get a time here as they have only 2 timed laps. So let's do him a favor and jump back to Edmund Blackadder and see if he can, get a better showing on his 2nd lap as the 1st lap was disqualified.
So here's Edmund Blackadder heading through to Shell Oil's hairpin, one of the really distinctive parts of the Oulton Park circuit. Of course, this, funnily enough, Ossie, in the last Lotus 79 race I commentated on, where we had an amazing battle between Fritz and Vaskalampi at the wonderful Virginia International Raceway, or VIR as many people know it as. And to me, Oulton Park it's Britain's answer to VIR. It just follows the contours of the parkland and just has the most amazing combinations of corner, and in this wonderful classic Grand Prix car with so much downforce and that amazing Cosworth DFB engine. It's just a joyful combination.
It absolutely is, and Blackadder seems to be enjoying it. Coming up towards the last of the proper corners, 10 over the hill. Always difficult to get the power down here, and 10 on towards the line. What will he do on his first ever broadcast qualifying lap? 1:14.991, and that ain't too shabby. That takes him all the way to 16th place, starting from the midfield and going under the 1:15 barrier.
So here we go. We're going to have our grid come up ready for the standing start here at Oulton Park in Cheshire. So on pole position, car number 1, Gernot Fritsch alongside Tamas Simon in the number 3 machine. On 2 is Andy T and Frick Tenkate. Row 3 is the Finn, Teemu Vaskilampi alongside Alex Millward. Row 4 is Steve Bycroft and Eetu Vainakangas. 5th is Victor Rodriguez and Barry West in 10th. How does row 6 onward look, Ossian?
Well, Paul Williams and Thomas Thorpe will be starting 11th and 12th. Then it's Severi Seppa and Sam Doby. Donaciano Martinez starting 15. Edmund Blackadder, we were just watching him starting 16th. Then it's Willi Schwabauer and Oskari Rinne in the next row. Top 20 will be rounded out by Dylan Freckleton and Chris Bauman. Isn't he low up on the field, our championship leader?
Finally, rounding out the rest of the grid, 21st John Stevens, 22nd Robert Plumley, followed by Derek Rolleveld, Kiddy Engstrom, and finally Jennis Shunning.
Yes, indeed. And as they are gridding up here, Peter, last-minute preparations for some of these drivers, making sure you got the car fueled up for all of these 35 laps, 45 minutes roughly that will be racing here today at Oulton Park. Yeah, as I just mentioned, interesting to watch Chris Bauman's race. Our championship leader will be starting from the 20th position. That's not going to be an easy place for him. And up at the front, Gernot Tamash, no real surprises there. Andy T and Freak and Kade. Those guys will certainly bring their challenge to the front, and Teemu and Alex, the old battle duo, they'll be starting 5th and 6th, so keep your eyes out on them for the start.
Well, so we're waiting for the lights to come up here at Oulton Park. They are, and 10,000 RPM of these machines, and we are go here at Oulton Park. A little bit bogged down start there from Fritsch, and he's gone back to 3rd position from pole. What a disaster for the Austrian driver, but Andy T up there in 2nd and Simon into the lead.
Indeed, Friction losing 2 positions. We have only 1 car out, that's Robert Plumley. No need to go to it just now, and a couple of more cars out actually on the next corner. Edmund Blackadder is out, as is Dylan Freckleton. Otherwise, it's a pretty clean start all throughout the field, expecting more disaster perhaps. They are all lining up to Shell Oil hairpin and 10 on towards the back straight for the first time here.
Yeah, and this is you're not needing to worry about the really tricky chicanes that Britain's done his lots. It's just on the gas all the way up to top gear, right up to 10,000 RPM of these Cosworth DFB engines. Amazing sounds from this pack of Lotus 79 machines as we head up Clay Hill. A driver off there just coming out. I think that's one of the Camel Lotuses there. Well spotted, Ossian, and of course there's quite a few drivers went off Cascade as well as we head, already at the end of lap 1.
Indeed, that's Steve Wycroft and Victor Rodriguez, a little bit of a contact there. No contact, but Wycroft running wide on Nico Brook. Otherwise, further back your pack, we got some good battles going on. Actually, Teemu Vaskilampi, Alex Millward, they're looking pretty close in 5th and 6th currently. Frick and Kade has been relegated all the way from 4th to 6th right now. So Vaskilampi actually 4th. And Alex Millward is sitting in 5th place. So those two guys, they have come together many times in the past. They've had great battles in the past. Will they have another one here on the English countryside today? We'll have to wait and see, Peter. But certainly a beautiful sight watching these machines here on Oulton Park.
It really is a pleasure, and this is one thing that sim racing just brings to the table, which is so valuable to motorsport. And it's brilliant to see drivers like Teemu Vaskilampi here in the Parmalat Brabham liveried machine, trying to keep Millward behind him along the straight. They're drafting a little bit, and Millward will be a very brave move to go through there at the bottom of but he decided against it. And let's look at P2 then. Andy T trying to hold off Gernot Fritsch, who Fritsch will be furious after doing all the hard work to put in on pole position. He's back in 3rd, so he's got so much work to do here to get past the rapid Andy T. And Simon, look, he's disappearing up ahead, and he'll just be trying to put in some qualifying laps to put a cushion in as well. But good start so far from Simon, and Bascalampi and Fritsch, we saw them have an amazing wheel-to-wheel battle at VIR, and well, let's see if we see that again today at Oulton Park.
Well, wouldn't that be quite something? And well, Freak and Cardi taking a little bit of an inside line look there, but nothing going there. So a couple of interesting battles. Going back to the P2 battle, which you are following right now, Andy T and Gernot Fritsch. Gernot right now is in a little bit of a precarious position because he is in a hurry to get past Andy T. Yes, but the overtaking opportunities here, they are few and far between. So he really has to work Andy, and he really has to force Andy into a mistake and make a great exit, and then here on the back straight, for example, just force it alongside and get into Niggerbrook. I've seen passes from the outside here, but it's no easy task. There are no real slam dunk overtaking opportunities here at Oulton Park. So Gernot really has to work Andy here. Fortunately, Gernot has about 11 billion championships with this car, so he certainly has the experience to go for it.
He really does, but I think you're absolutely right that with a field of this standard of driver, like you say, that big send from a long way back is just not possible on this type of circuit. And I think you're right. I think making himself very large and very visible in Andy T's mirrors is really going to be the only, well, he has that, as you say, he's a multiple champion. Andy T will know that, and if tell you what, I wouldn't want to be seeing Gernot Fritsch in my mirrors, and to be honest, it's very unlikely he would be in my mirrors normally, unless he was coming up to lap me, of course.
Yeah, I used to say that about 2 car lengths behind Gernot is the best driving school in the world. Like, absolutely, going back to top here, as you mentioned earlier on this back straight in the world. But yeah, Frick and Kari, meanwhile, he's dropping way back down the order. And Freak has fun actually on the inside of Shellow's hairpin, it looks like, and he's coming back to track, and we'll see a replay of that one. So he's coming up to the hairpin, and I think this will be a solo car error. Yeah, he just lost it on the braking, very easy to do there, because it's a banked corner. And he's doing very well, waiting it out, and then getting to the inside, probably damaging his floorboards and his skirts there a little bit, but he's back on track. Unfortunately for him, that means outside of P20 right now. I believe he's sitting in 21st place on our grid. So Freak, once again, sadly, making a mistake from near the top 5 positions as Andy and Gernot are getting closer and closer here.
Yeah, Gernot Fritsch here, the Austrian. Now, there must be something about Austrians at the wheel of Lotuses. Of course, Jochen Rindt in 1970 winning the world champion, the only ever posthumous champion for the Lotus Formula One team. And the Lotus team, it's just had such a history in Formula One. As thought he was going to have a look there coming in towards Shell Oils, but he's doing exactly what we thought, Teemu. He's just making himself look very large in the mirrors and using that intimidation factor, almost Dale Earnhardt-esque, just saying, I'm the best driver, I'm going to look really big in your mirrors and I'm going to scare you out of the way. But really clean so far as well from Gernot Fritsch. And is he going to maybe look here? He's certainly looking for it.
Yeah, he is cleaner than a freshly washed marble floor on the CEO's office, right? Gernot Fritsch in general, he has made a couple of mistakes like in the past, but if you see Gernot having a collision and it's Gernot's fault, then it's once in a blue moon, really. He's a crispy, clean driver usually, such a gentleman, such a great driver to have a battle with. He doesn't put the wheel wrong, he can make an aggressive move, but he's sure to make the aggressive move right, and he's sure to make it a slam dunk. He doesn't just crash into you or torpedo into you, he'll go past you in a fashion that you wouldn't believe possible. And right now he has to intimidate Andy T, because Andy, he is slow. Well, he's not slow, he is still in second place, but putting things into perspective, Thomas Shimon last time by 115.6, Andy T 116.1. And just a reminder for you folks, if you want to watch your favorite driver and how they're doing and how they're putting the laps in and compare them with leaders, then you can head over to GSRC.tv for our live timing and scoring.
You absolutely can. It's a brilliant way to follow how the race is going. Now, look at this, Austrian. Oh, it's Gernot Fritsch. Is he going to look in the inside? Andy T goes, takes very good move there from Andy T to keep Fritsch behind him. I really thought Fritsch was going to get by there, but look at what this is doing, because Temu Bascalampi and Millward there, because Fritsch is getting held up by T, that is bringing Bascalampi into the fold here in the Parmalat machine. So all of a sudden this battle for second has gone from 2 cars to 4 cars.
Yeah, 4-car battle here, and potentially even more drivers gonna join in on that one, maybe later on if this continues. But yeah, Andy T doing a great job, and what Gernot was doing there earlier on Mikabrew was he was putting his car on the inside and see what Andy is doing. Gernot knows he's in this for the long haul, and he's not gonna catch Tomas on pure raw pace unless Tomas makes a mistake at this point. So he's not being too much in a hurry. He's not doing the rookie mistake. He's no rookie, but not doing the rookie mistake of trying to force the move too early on and taking out both cars or damaging himself or anything like that. He's coaching right now. He doesn't know Andy T that well. He hasn't raced much against him wheel to wheel, so he doesn't know what kind of a driver he has here. And that's kind of like a boxer, where right now in the first rounds of the fight, and he's chabbing away, he's using his footwork, and he's maybe pulling a few feints, and he'll be seeing what kind of defense does Andy T have. And then once he knows that, once he has the information, he can then use that information to pick up the correct move and then go past Andy as we go up to T8 here.
So this is the battle for 8th position between Bycroft, West, Bowman. Of course, Bowman, he was Tuesday qualified in P20, and he's making it away up to for the battle inside the top 10. And well, around this circuit, as we've said, Ossian, to get up that many places already, that is absolutely superb from the Warsteiner driver.
Yeah, but he's also absolutely on it. Like Chris Baumann, you look at him and you see him wheeling that car, wheeling up and away and heading through those corners. On the first corner, he was a little bit loose actually over the curb, but he didn't mind, just a slight correction and away he goes. And next one on his list is Steve Bycroft. And I like Steve Bycroft. He was a mighty fast driver a couple of seasons ago here. He was all the way winning races and leading races and up on the championship. And it's great to see him back behind the wheel. But I don't think on his current form he'll be much of a match to the mighty Swissman, Chris Baumann. And, usually they talk about Swiss neutrality, about, the mighty Swiss chocolate and Swiss cheese. Well, this man is certainly no cheese. He's almighty, pure form racing driver, and he's putting it to show today. He hasn't given up at all despite his bad qualifying performance.
We could say he's got the precision of a Swiss timepiece, perhaps, Ossie, and maybe that's that's what's required in this Oulton Park. And you need the you need the precision of that Swiss timepiece, but also in these cars. And I can't imagine what it was like at the time when this ground effect car hit the circuit. The rest of the field must have thought, what have we got to do? And the thing is that it just requires almost such bravery. Wow, as we see a big oversteer moment there as well, as the grip overcomes the tyre overcome by the grip there from that Candy Team Tyrrell. But yeah, it's this, especially around this circuit here at Oulton Park. It's sometimes you've really got to just go beyond what you think the car can do, because it will do it.
Yeah, and they used to conceal their true pace a little bit. They received orders from legendary Colin Chapman, of course, about not going at full pace, just go fast enough. And they also used to cover up the transmission of the car and being really secretive about the transmission, dividing the team's attention from what has really been done there, from the Venturi tunnels. The skirts you can of course see, but the Venturi tunnels and all the things that have been done to the underside of the car, as we watch Tomas Simon going on in the lead, showing some love for the leader, and that's good. However, Andy T, he's picked it up on the last lap. He was actually half a tenth faster than Tomas, and that's not significant just yet. But what that means is that Gernot no longer is absolutely, putting on the pressure and anxious to get past. I think Andy is right now saying, okay, I've had enough with being careful. Let's just put a show in for the boys and let the viewers all around the world, all around watching this race on Global SimRacing Channel, let them know that Andy T is in here to fight, and he is gonna be the next English superstar in this car. And maybe do what Alex Milford couldn't do, which is to, put his name permanently in the championship conversation.
Well, yeah, he certainly, there's no better way than to announce yourself than keeping a series legend like Gernot Fritzsch behind you. And look how much, Ossian, that they've gapped And Vascalampi and Millward, I wonder if maybe they made a mistake or got tangled, because they've when they were really close together just a couple of laps ago, and all of a sudden there's now 3 seconds between them. Perhaps Vascalampi and Millward having a bit of a battle, and that slowed them down a bit. What do you see here?
Well, I see two drivers going at it now. Teemu 16-2, 16-2, 16 flat, 16-2. Alex Millward has been catching him steadily. He's gone 16-3, 16-1, 15-7, 15-9. So Alex has the pace advantage. Yes, some of it is due to draft, but the dirty air also slows you a little bit down in the corners. But Alex is certainly anxious to get past. He's seeing Andy, his friend and rival Andy T and Gernot getting away with the podium battle. And, he just wants to get past Teemu, but Teemu is not an easy guy to get past him. And Alex can be a little bit aggressive at times. We've seen that, and Teemu is a bit mistake prone. So it's going to be a bit of an interesting battle here in 4 and 5. We'll be keeping one eye on Pat and one eye on the battle for P number 2, as these two warriors head themselves down the back straight. And of course, and Teemu makes a mistake, goes wide, and that's a position for Alex. Just as I was saying, a little bit mistake prone.
Yeah, your commentator's curse is really strong today, Austin, and that's another one as well. But yeah, you're right, Alex was putting a lot of pressure on him there. Speaking of pressure, Gernot Fritsch, and oh goodness me, that just gives me a little bit of a shiver, that thought of seeing Gernot Fritsch in the mirrors there. But Andy T, you've got to take your hat off to him. He has been so consistent, 12 laps into this race, so we're about third lap distance, and he has had our pole sitter, don't forget, Gernot Fritsch, on his gearbox the whole time, but he is doing an awesome job to keep the multiple series champion at bay.
Yeah, and most importantly, he's not doing any mistakes, and he's not also doing over defending. Going back to the boxing references I was talking about earlier, what's the easiest kind of opponent for you? Well, it's the kind of opponent that doesn't throw, that's all the time sitting behind his guard. And in racing terms, that's a guy who's defending all the time, going to the inside all the time, like all the time, basically making his own race harder for himself. No, Andy is taking the racing line, he's taking normal line into the corners, he's not getting intimidated by Gernot, who is adjusting his gearbox. He's not getting intimidated by Gernot taking a look at the inside. And I think by now, as we are a third of the way through the race, I think Gernot knows that. So now Gernot has gone on to the long-term plan. So he's coaching Andy, and he's finding out some information, and he's saying, okay, this guy's brave, he's not over-defending, he's not over-committing into the battle, he's also got some pace, as he was showing earlier. So right now he's just waiting for the mistake, staying right up close, but not forcing anything. However, the one thing about Gernot Fritsch that we haven't seen too often is that he's absolutely capable of that one move that many would say is reckless, but from him it's very calculated. A late break into one corner, for example, a very, very fast exit of somewhere, a sliding move, or something across those lines. He pulls them out of his hat maybe once a season or once every 2 seasons. But when he does them, they are absolutely spectacular, as he loses a bit of time in the hairpin and allowing Andy T to get a little bit further away at this point in time.
Yeah, he made a bit of a mistake there in Shell Oil, just ran a little bit wide, just almost washed out the front end slightly, and just lost a little bit of time there, but he'll get it back. Oh, big train here, battling for 14th position, one of the Renault Elf cars in there as well. A battle for 12, my apologies, folks. So, there we go. Battle for 12 between West, Stevens, Plumley, Bycroft and Martinez, all in a big train of Lotus 79s heading up Clay Hill over the oil slick here at Oulton Park. So, it's 14 laps down then. Simon, we haven't said much about him, but he's been driving a perfect race at the front, leading by just over 4 seconds from Andy T in the Marlboro McLaren. But right behind Andy T is Gernot Fritsch, who, as we say, is just keeping the pace, but saving his big move perhaps for later on in the race. In 4th position is Millward, who's got past Teemu Vascalampi in 4th and 5th positions. So still all to play for, as we've just gone past 1/3 distance of this Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix here live on the Global SimRacing Channel.
Indeed, and here is the duo once again. Andy T having a bit of a breather after Genlot made a mistake. Well, one lap later and here he is, and how demoralizing that must be for Andy T. You know, he's seeing in his mirrors that Genlot's slipping, and he's maybe thinking, oh, maybe I found a weakness. Maybe if I keep at it, he will drop from me. One lap later and he's right in your gearbox and he's hungrier than ever. And this man, well, the Austrian must be eating once a week, and that's on Sunday, but when he's eating, he's absolutely feasting, and this is usually where he goes for brunch, lunch, and a dinner. The Classic Lotus Grand Prix Series, and 1:15.3 last time by. That is the fastest lap of the field, even faster than our leader, Tomasz Szymon. And I must mention also, as we talked earlier on about the battle for P number 12, that Barry West has now made another mistake. He's dropped all the way back from that one. So, you know, and there's been a little bit of further incidents back along the field as well. John Stevens actually has damaged his car and he has retired. No need to go to it because he's already on the pit lane. So there's been something happening in that battle pack, and as a result of that, that has dissipated a little bit. Meanwhile, also something I want to point out just briefly is that Teemu, after his mistake, he has been steadily slower than Alex and dropping back, and behind him Eetu Vainiokangas and Victor Rodriguez are both still quite close.
Yeah, so Teemu Vaskalampi, he'll have to be very, very careful to not make another mistake and let them by. Now, I want to ask you about tyres, Austin. Of course, you've competed at the highest level in this series, and of course, the English countryside not known for scorching track temperatures, but these are very powerful cars, very high downforce, very high speeds. But look at that, a track temperature of 100 degrees Fahrenheit, which is very, very high for this part of the world. But tell me about the tyres and how they progress over the race distance, and is that perhaps a factor in our battle with Andy T and Gernot Prix?
I would say yes, and here's the reason. The first lap you start, the tires are going to be a little bit cold. They introduced a new tire model here on iRacing for the Lotus 79 that is custom built for this car, because of course these are cross-fly tires. They are not radial tires, these are cross-fly slicks from 1978. So they progress a little bit differently than your usual racing slick. It's going to be a little bit cold at the first, and then on second lap you will have the grip, and once you have the grip down, you can put in some mighty fast lap times even on full race fuel. And then at around laps 4 or 5 here at Oulton Park, because it is such a short circuit in terms of time and in terms of length, you're gonna hit a little bit of a dip in the performance, and that means that you're gonna be sliding a little bit wide maybe, because your tires maybe start overheating. The absolute best grip is gone from them, and the heat is going up, and you hit your peak tire pressure and your peak tire heat at that point in time. And then you just gotta be steady and be careful, and it'll come back to you in 1 lap or 2 laps. And it all depends on where you have your tire pressure set up. Some drivers who can take good starts, they have higher tire pressures, which means they have higher pressures earlier on. And some drivers can put lower pressures, which take more time to heat up, but once it heats up, you can be a little bit quicker. So it all depends, and once the fuel wears out, because you don't take pit stops with these cars, not on such a race distance, you go all the way down the race. And once the tires start, wearing out and the fuel load goes down, your car gets more and more slippery progressively. It'll start oversteering. Those massive rear tires, they heat up mighty quickly. Those front tires, you just have to hold on to it basically. And you put around 65-70 liters of fuel into these cars, and that means that there's gonna be a lot of weight going down as the race rolls along. And at the end of the race, you're gonna be feeling a little bit slippery, but that's when the car is at its fastest usually. And going back to that further on about the tires and about the fuel and how to control that, this is one of the first cars in European racing, in top open wheel racing internationally and not just in US, which has an adjustable anti-roll bar from the cockpit. You can adjust the front and the rear anti-roll bar as well as the brake balance, and that is something actually brought over by Mario Andretti from the US, introduced by him to Colin Chapman, who can put it onto his race cars. and that means the drivers can soften up the rear end roll bar or stiffen up the front, whichever they prefer, and adjust the handling of the car on the fly as we watch the second and the third place man, Andretti and Gernot Fritsch, going at it once more.
Yeah, there's a fantastic insight there, Ossian, on how these tires, how they behave over the course and how the car behaves. Thank you very much for that. And you make a great point about the fuel. I mean, it's around 10% of the weight of the car changes over the course of the race. So it's a huge, like I say, it's a massive difference. And I have to say, when these cars do start to get loose and start to slide around, I know it's not fast, but I have to say it does put a big smile on my face. But of course, when you're in the racing sense, when your car starts to slide, the last thing it does is put a smile on your face, especially if you've got someone like Gernot Fritsch behind you. But so as we see, what have we got here? We're looking at the battle for 13th position. Now, this is the car I was talking about. Sam Doby in that white and blue machine there. On that car, there is a logo called Dixon's of Perth. And Mr. Dixon, back in the 60s, used to race with Jim Clark. So they actually now sell motorhomes, believe it or not. What do you see, Ossian? Go on.
I see Gernot alongside Andy T heading into Knickerbrook and on the inside, and he gets it done at the last moment. So great move from Gernot there. And gonna see a replay of that one as well. Well, and Peter, I'm gonna let you talk through this one.
So I was thinking he's probably set this one up a long way back, and he has. So he gets a good exit out of Shell Oils, and he's heading up the gearbox, but he's in the slipstream. And look at Andy T go defensive there. He knows that Fritsch has got a run, and he's thinking, okay, I've done well enough. And really clean racing there from both drivers. No over-aggression. Very smooth indeed and very fair. Good to see. And I have to say, I have so much appreciation for good, clean, high-level racing like that, Ossian, because sometimes it can be quite rare.
Yeah, and this is what this series is known for, and all the historic series, really. The Classic Lotus Grand Prix community, the Lotus 79 community as it's known, the Lotus 49 community as well. You can watch those races on Saturdays here at Global SimRacing Channel, as well as the Camel GD series, multi-class racing. It's hard to keep clean, but they sure manage to do that most of the time at least, and you can watch that on Saturday nights as well here on GSRC. I do believe it is 8 p.m. Eastern European time, which is around 5 p.m. GMT, and well, at the late morning for you fellas over off the pond in the United States of America. So that's roughly the times when you can watch historic Grand Prix racing and historic racing at its finest. But yeah, very clean and very good from Gernot and Andy. He's not letting go of that one. He's still in the gearbox. And now Andy, well, he's in that best driving school that I mentioned. He's right behind Gernot, and he can learn so much just from this. If you jump on board from him, you can see exactly what Andy T is.
Yeah, and also the one thing to remember is that Andy T, being a British driver, is that people know this Oulton Park circuit very, very well. It's amazing how with your home circuit, how it can just be so familiar to you. Of course, my home circuit is not on iRacing, but the Knockhill circuit in Scotland. Knockhill circuit in Scotland. Whenever I can't sleep at night, I just do laps of Knockhill in my head, and just because I know it so well, even only having done a handful of laps there over my years as well. So, and as you're right, Andy T, he's right in there, and he's, like you say, he's getting that driving masterclass from Gernot Fritsch that you were talking about, and if he can just try and follow him here, you never know. They could get pulled up to Simon, who we've hardly mentioned at all, but that means that he's been driving the perfect race. If he hasn't been had much camera time, that means he's made absolutely no mistakes, and he's just gradually pulling away. But here he is, and that looks like he's coming up against some lap traffic here.
Yeah, that's Giddy Engström first and foremost in terms of lap traffic for Thomas Simon, and he has to really, you know, be steady here and be considerate, and that's exactly what Giddy Engström does here. You know, Giddy just getting out of the way and making sure that our race leader has the racing line here. Great job from him. And then it's going to be a clean track all the way to Knickerbrook almost, because you got Blackadder and you got Plumley and you got Rollewell as well up there on the track that I think Kamash will still catch during the course of this race, but not quite yet. So no big traffic issues for him in our foreseeable future. So nothing that's gonna affect the lead battle. 6.5 seconds, 6.4 seconds is the gap between Shimon and Fletcher at this point in time. Just an update from there. Another man I want to talk about right now is Chris Baumann, our championship leader. He's down in 8th place, but he's slowly and steadily catching up to Victor Rodriguez. 2 tenths last time by, and the gap is less than a second right now. And Chris Baumann, he might be improving himself all the way to P number 7, maybe P number 6, maybe even P number 5, depending on how fast he can get past Victor and how quickly he can then catch on to Eetu and Teemu.
I have to say, I love his racing suit there, as we see on the broadcast. It almost looks like the suit that they would give prisoners in old-fashioned films. Now, the black and white stripes, very snazzy indeed from our championship leader at the wheel of the Tyrrell. And of course, Ken Tyrrell, one of the old-school Formula One constructors, who of course went into Formula One with Sir Jackie Stewart, one of the greatest Formula One drivers ever in history, who won 3 world titles with Ken Tyrrell as well, which is very cool indeed. And you make a great point about Baumann to come through on a circuit like this, with you know, starting at 20th on the grid and up now to 8th position and still on the move. It is just extraordinary, I guess, Aussie, and to be able to make so many moves through the field is fantastic to watch.
Yeah, I was watching, I'm going to Nürburgring Formula 1 briefly here, but I was watching Sergio Perez earlier today in the Steiermark Grand Prix in Formula 1, and I was watching that race, and not to spoil anything, but he had a similar performance in cards for him after his rather lousy qualifying performance. I was gonna talk about it more, but then I realized no spoilers, you know. So for those who haven't seen the races yet, you can still enjoy it, as Baumann is catching up to Victor Rodriguez here, and he's just half a second behind right now. 1:15.2. Chris Baumann, last time by. He is in the dirty air, mind you, and that is Gernot pace. That is absolutely Gernot pace. So he's certainly flying around Oulton Park.
Yeah, and it's one of these tracks that where when you get in a groove, it's just so satisfying, and you feel like you could drive around all day on that pace. Oh, dearie me, he just thinks about it there to try and make a move on Rodriguez, but that coming out of Shell Oils. But clearly Rodriguez is getting in his way here a little bit here. Rodriguez gives him plenty of room. That's good, and Baumann goes through to 7th position. Next up, 6th position. Let's see. I tell you what, I love watching a hard charger coming through the field. It's so entertaining.
It is Eetu Vainiokangas up next. Eetu is of course a rookie this season in Lotus 79, but he's been steady and consistent, usually outside, just outside the top 10. And he's been brought in a little bit by Teemu and by Andretti and a lot of those guys who are talking a lot with each other and, you know, sharing tips with each other and so on the Lotus 79 Discord, of course. So these drivers are talking with each other as Eetu makes his way past Giddy Engstrom, and that's going to be Chris Baumann next. But Chris, he has about 2.5 seconds to make up to Eetu, and then he'll be on to Teemu. Oh, no! Chris is in the wall, and that's Giddy Engstrom. And wow, just as I was talking about him, Victor Rodriguez out as well, and Giddy Engstrom makes a terrible mistake there. So here we see Chris Baumann and Victor Rodriguez coming up to the situation, and they're gonna see Giddy Engstrom sliding wide, coming up to the straight and correcting himself, and then realizing, oh, I got traffic coming behind me. And Chris Baumann is thinking, oh, where is this man going? You know, because Chris was looking right, looking left into the grass, into the wall, and Chris survives with little damage. But Victor Rodriguez, he just punted into Giddy Engstrom, and both of those cars heavy damage, and Victor Rodriguez out of this race. So that's so unfortunate to see.
Very unlucky for all I'm concerned. It looked like Engstrom was just getting into a tank slapper when you come onto the throttle there in 3rd or 4th gear coming out of Cascades, and it just looked like he got into a big tank slapper and car was going left, right, and then nowhere for Baumann or Rodriguez to go. That's just one of those really unlucky things in racing that can happen. Nobody's fault. It's just very unfortunate indeed. But no such problems for our leaders the number 3 car of Simon, who's just put in the fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 14.895. Now, I always say on the broadcast, Ossian, especially with drivers of this level of experience and skill, the great thing about sim racing is that you could finish watching the broadcast, fire up your sim rig, and go in this car on this track in these conditions and just see just how impressive that time is. That's what I love about sim racing, that you can get so close to what the drivers are doing and really understand the skill level they have.
Yeah, and you can do it, and you can absolutely sign up to the Classic Teams Championship as well if you think you like the car. I got a great story actually to you, as we have a bit of a moment to talk about it, maybe a lap or two until we get
Please.
that battle between Bauman and Vainiokangas. So, you know, when I started Lotus 79, that was back in late 2015, early 2016, and I was at the Club Finland meetup, and it was 3 a.m. And I'm not advocating for this, by the way, but I will say that Club Finland meetup isn't exactly the sobriety club. So, you know, there were drinks and there was food and there was good time. And up to me at around 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. came Tapani Linnaluoto, who has won 2 or 3 championships. I think 3 championships in this car. And he was back then at his prime Lotus 79 driving days. And he came up to me and I was, you know, talking about, well, we didn't make the GD3 World Championship, which we were trying to qualify for with Glacier Racing. And it was Joni Takanen, Teemu Valkeajärvi and myself in that car. And we barely missed the cut. So we didn't get our black stripes, we didn't get to the World Championship. And I was thinking, what should I drive next? I don't want to go back to the skippies. I don't think I'm a Formula 1 driver either. That car doesn't suit me. It was the Williams back then. Oh, Frick then cut the spins from 14th place, by the way. 360 and single car incident, just to let you know. And so anyway, Skelnot takes the fastest lap and we have P2 going on. So Tapani came to me, hey, why don't you try the Lotus 79? And so I did. I did try it and I liked it. And actually, he told me about the Classic Teams Championship first. And, you know, then I went onto my computer, because we had computers, some of us had computers with us. It was like a LAN party, but nothing like it. And so I went to my computer, signed up for the Classic Teams Championship, asked for a team that I can compete in, and then I went and bought the car. In that order.
Fantastic. And that's what I love about it, is that funnily enough, I was commentating on a Porsche Club race earlier on today, Ossian, and we were talking about this, how sim racing also has a real benefit as well for club motorsport, because 20 or 30 years ago, club motorsport, you could take a couple of friends, put a car on the back of a trailer and go and do some club motorsport. But that actually is a lot rarer now. There's less people doing that, and it's harder to do with cars being more advanced. But the great thing about sim racing is that you can do it at Lotus 79 at Oulton Park. I mean, that's something that's normally reserved for billionaires in the real world, but you can do it. And also you have that community aspect as well, because it's mainly at the amateur level most of the time. You, like you say, you can have that friendly aspect as well. And the stories like that, I just love it. It just brings so much colour to what's going on screen here. Well, we talk about this lap of the race as well. And Vascalampi still holding 6th strong, and Bauman in 7th. And you wonder maybe if Bauman's been a little bit curtailed with that little incident there, maybe with a little bit of damage. But, he's still holding down 7th position, which after his starting position, I'm sure he'll be quite happy with.
Yeah, and we got Vaskilampi and Vainiokangas ahead of them. And now Vaskilampi, he's the more experienced out of this duo. He's been pretty fast last 2 seasons. You know, last season we saw him leading races, being in podiums, and then just crashing his car into the wall until he finally got his, I think he got his win at Laguna Seca, if I'm not mistaken, last season. So he definitely got that great result. And, you know, he hasn't had the happiest of starts for this season either. And we saw him making that little mistake at Nickelbrook earlier on in this race. And I think he picked up a tiny bit of damage from that one, which you can very easily do when you run your car wide. You can actually see it on his front wing, on the left-hand side of the front wing, in fact. And tiny bit of damage on Vaskilampi's car. And now Vainiokangas, he's catching him up, and that's so impressive from a man who hasn't been spending too much time in top 10, hasn't been on quite his pace just yet. He is a shoo-in for a top 5, and as a Finn, it warms my heart to see such a performance from a driver with the number 15 in this race. Mind you, we got some high iRacing drivers in this race. Gernot Fritzsche, he is almost at 8,000, for example, and Eetu Vainiokangas, he's nowhere near those numbers. But he is doing a great performance for himself, and so far looking really steady. And now he has to just hold on for 4 more laps, and who knows? Maybe he can take the battle to Teemu too.
Yeah, he's putting on a brilliant job, and like you say, this car, it requires so much, like many things in sim racing, requires so much track time to be able to get the absolute maximum out of it, because its limits are so high. As we see, Thomas Simon, as you said, you called it perfectly, when the fuel comes off, the fastest laps start to flow really well. A 1 minute 14.483, but I think you've called it here, Ossian. Looks like Eetu is looking to get past Teemu. We've got a Finnish battle here with 5 laps to go.
Yeah, and wouldn't that make for an awesome name for a TV series? A TV comedy, a TV-made comedy. I can totally see the made-for-TV comedy, a B-movie on a budget called Eetu and Teemu, the battling Finns, or something like that.
The thing is, they could be superheroes. A Finnish children's TV program. Eetu and Teemu, the Formula 1 drivers in the Lotus 79.
Oh yeah, Teemu being the Superman who flies on the side of the skyscraper. Like a bird.
Exactly.
No, I'm being a little harsh on him. That's
course.
just harsh love. Yeah.
Teemu, of course, whenever I hear the word Teemu, I also think of Teemu Sunninen, who's the World Rally driver for M Sport Ford at the moment, who is a very impressive driver. And is he a sim racer? I didn't realise that. What does he do with it? Does he mainly rallying? He does?
No, he's doing iRacing. He was actually part of the Finnish National Championship qualifiers in 2017 with the Porsche, and this year, in 2020, of course, rallying has been a little bit less on the cards with global pandemics and whatnot. So Teemu has been part of the Finnish SimRacing Championship called the Digital Racing ESM, Electronic Finnish Championship, SM being Suomen Mestaruus Finnish Championship. So, he's been part of that, and he did so well that he actually qualified for the 20-driver final, which is in Jyväskylä, same side as the Finnish round of the World Rally Championship is held on early August. So he's a sim racer, and he's part of the sim racing team, and he's actually a pretty good sim racer as well. He's on his day he can be in top 5 in those Finnish championship races.
Wow, and that's a big boast. And of course, Teemu, he started off in go-karts, took quite an unusual route into the World Rally Championship, but doing a fantastic job in the World Rally Championship for M Sport Ford right now, and always has the fantastic Finnish stage end interviews as well. Very economical with his words, let's just say.
Yes.
So we're looking at the battle for P15. As we see a 3-car battle here with one of the Essex Lotuses. Big move. Oh, dearie me, coming around Island Bend. That's fast around there.
Yeah, so Robert Plumley was trying to pass Derek Rolveld on the inside, and the man known as Ginducci has just, put an oopsie here. And here we see the replay of Plumley going up to the inside, and he just ran out of grip and realized that, he's not going to make it get it turned. So he took a little bit of the grass, a little bit too much. The car gets unsettled over the bump, gets back, and he spun around. Knee 270 there, sadly not a 360, and going a little bit wide here once again. So Plumley, not a happy camper right now, and sadly
the leader right behind. Sorry to cut across there, Rossi, and my apologies. He is getting on the grass there with our leader Simon just coming up behind him. That could have been a disaster for Simon, but he did well to avoid that incident. But that could have been a little bit of a controversial one, let's just say.
Yeah, and we got a battle for the 11th place as well as we come up to 2 to go for our leader. Barry West and Sam Doby. Of course, 2 veteran drivers of this car. Barry West sometimes comes to the interviews. A UK driver, of course, loves Oulton Park. And he's a great guy, a good voice for this series. A real veteran driver. Up against Sam Doby. New England, he's done such a great job for this community over the years, organizing the Classic Teams Championship, delivering these skins and assigning the teams for drivers. And 2 of these veteran drivers now coming head-to-head over the course of these last final laps for what is an 11th place. And Sam Doby trying to find his overtaking chance. and so far hasn't found his way back past Barry West, but he's going to come here.
Yeah, this is great battle. You can see Sam Doby making himself very visible in the mirrors of Barry West here. Now, is he going to have a move into turn one? No, he thinks better of it. And oh, dearie me, dearie me. So that's Doby goes by then, and Barry West and just into the barrier slightly. He's been able to get back going again. Let's get another look at this then. How do you read this one, Austin?
Well, Barry was coming up to me inside and then coming back to the racing line trying to defend, going a little bit too fast into turn number one. And that is a fantastic example of a 2-foot save. What I always talk about on commentary, we seldom see it. So what you do is you're halfway on the throttle, the car gets loose on you. Instead of counter steering and, you know, getting the car snap on you and heading nose first into the wall, you press the throttle and the brake. And that locks up the wheels and then straightens out the car. Unfortunately, he ran out of track here. But that was a great, great example of a 2-foot save, and that could have been so much worse for Barry. Only loses one position as we are watching the battle between Teemu and Ed.
So we're on the final lap then, so it won't be long before Simon comes round to take the win. But this finished battle rages on as Simon comes through towards towards Knickerbrook and up Clay Hill. He's got quite a bit of lap traffic to worry with, but he's got 5.4 seconds in hand, so he can take it nice and steadily. But we're looking back at the two Finns here, Teemu Vaskalampi and Eetu Vainokangas. They're going down to past where the Steve Hislop chicane would be, but takes a little look in the mirror. No, it'll have to be the last corner. So let's take a look at our leader then, who is coming over the line. Our winner then, Thomas Simon, an absolutely dominant victory. And don't worry, folks, he did get over the line there. Don't worry, folks. He did make it over the line there. Just showboating a little bit here on iRacing, but looks like Teemu Vaskalampi, he shuts the door in the last corner, and Eetu has to settle for 6th position. Brilliant racing from our two Finns here, and fantastic entertainment in this Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. And there's Bauman over the line, 7th place. Definitely our hard charger of the day, starting in 20th position.
And understated 8th place for Oskari Rinne, 10 Paul Williams taking 9th, and Severi Seppa rounding out your top 10. As we take you to a commercial break here at GSRC, don't go anywhere, we'll be back soon with some driver interviews.
Welcome back to the Global SimRacing Channel and Oulton Park, where we just witnessed a fantastic race in the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series with some seriously top drawer driving. Let's have a run through the race results then. Your winner, the number 3 Thomas Simon wins by 4.8 seconds from series veteran in second position Gernot Fritsch. Rounding out the podium with an excellent drive in his Marlboro McLaren, Andy T, just 9.2 seconds back. Fourth was fellow Briton Alex Millward. Fifth, the Finn Teemu Vaskalampi. Sixth was Eetu Vanakangas. Seventh, Chris Baumann, a brilliant charge through the field from 20th position. Eighth was Oskari Rinne. Ninth, Paul Williams. And 10th, Severi Seppa. Ossian.
Yes, Sam Doby winning out that battle in the end with Barry West. They finished 11th and 12th respectively. Steve Bycroft 13th, Donaciano Martinez 14th, Derek Rollwell 15th, Edmund Blackadder 16th on his debut race. Started from that position, also finished on the lead lap. Robert Plumley finishing 1 lap down, 10-year list of retirements. Ken Cadde finishing 2 laps down, Giddy Engstrom retiring 5 laps down, Dennis Shanning, Victor Rodriguez, Dylan Freckleton, Thomas Thorpe, John Stevens, and Willie Schwabauer as well out of this race and retired. And 10, we should move on to driver interviews after this fantastic race. And it's going to be Peter who is going to be talking to our second place man, Gernot Fritsch, first and foremost. Peter?
Gernot, a fantastic drive to second place in Oulton Park here today. Tell us about your race. You had two stages to the race, one behind Andy T and one ahead of him. Tell us about it.
Exactly. So yeah, I guess it was tea time today for me. I had a good flying session. So yeah, I was a little bit surprised to be ahead of Tamas because he had the best raw pace here. And then I had a rather bad start. I think the other guys just had great starts. So that made it a difficult race for me.
And how hard was it for you to get past Andy T? It looked like he had incredibly strong pace. And how long were you trying to line that move up for?
It was really tough. It's not an easy track for overtaking because it's so narrow. On the other hand, I seem to have a little bit better top speed, so that helped. But it was really tough to get close to him in the last corner before the long straight. So yeah, I was a little bit lucky. It took several attempts until I finally made it.
Well, as they say, they make your own luck. A brilliant drive to second place once again, Gernot. Now, before we let you go, you're live here on GSRC. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go and enjoy the rest of your Sunday?
Oh, as usual, I'd like to thank the other drivers for making this the best series in iRacing. And yeah, of course, thank you guys as well for doing great broadcasts. Yeah, huge congrats to Tamas and Andy for a great race. Bye-bye.
Thank you. That's very kind indeed. So that was Gernot Fritsch. Next in the commentary box, who is going to come along and join us? We have Ossian, who is with Andy T, our third place driver.
Yes, hello Andy, hello. It was a great race for you. For a moment, you were ahead of the great one, Gernot Fritsch. Of course, you are a relative rookie to the series this season, showing up on the broadcast races. How great it is to finish on the podium here at Oulton Park on your home soil.
Yeah, it's incredible I'm on the podium, to be honest. I've worked hard this week, and I thought I had the pace for P2, and maybe if Tamas dropped a wheel on the grass, I could have had the win. But it's something else driving with the Red Baron behind you. Like, what a dogfight. I was melting, making mistakes that I'd eradicated earlier in the week. I was so tough. I mean, I knew he was going to get by. I just told myself, don't make a stupid mistake. And I made the tiniest of errors on the exit of the hairpin, and that was enough. It gave him the extra 10th he needed. And I'm not going to turn in on him as much as I'd have loved to.
Yeah, I mean, he took the inside line, and you guys kept it clean, so kudos for that. So, you know, Gernot was brewing you, and then he finally made you boil over. But aside from that, what a great performance. How much confidence does this give you in the future?
I mean, if I can fix the consistency issues that I've talked about before, yeah, definitely. It's great to be up here. I think it's a little false because Teemu has had wheel issues this week, so his pace was off where it usually would be. He would have been right up there. But even so, yeah, great confidence boost.
Well, last but not least, Andy, great podium here, your maiden podium here on the broadcast races. Who would you like to thank? Who gets it done for you?
Okay, so this week Tamas has helped me a lot, so kudos to him, and congrats on the great win. I'm glad I helped him run away. Two friends of mine had their first child this week, so huge congrats to them. And also my granddad is unwell at the moment, so that P3 was for him. Get well soon.
Yeah, I can second that. Get well soon to everyone involved, to your granddad, and congratulations from the entire GSRC as well to your friends. Having a child is a great miracle, and I hope it goes well. I hope everything goes well, and congratulations. Thank you, Andy. And next up, we have Peter McKay having a quick word with our 5th place man, Teemu Vaskilampi. Peter?
Hello, Teemu. Another very much an entertaining race you put on for us there around Oulton Park. Tell us about it from your perspective.
Well, I knew it's going to be uphill battle for me since I had some hardware issues this week, and I just had to make a setup that is very understeery and just cruise the race. I can't risk any oversteer. I can't notice them without forces. So I'm happy for P5. I didn't expect to fight for top 5. And it became harder and harder when the race goes on and car got lighter. At the start it's quite easy, but I knew I can't keep Alex behind me, but of course I won't just let him go. But yeah, I'm happy for P5. I had such a difficult week. So.
Well, it's I have to say that's highly unusual to hear a Finn talk about wanting to dial oversteer out of their setup. Normally, that's very much a national sport, the oversteer. But thank you for telling us about that. Before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to live here on the Global SimRacing Channel?
Yeah. Just all the 79 guys and you guys, and reason why I do not oversteer is because I didn't have force feedback, so I can't catch the slides and stuff. So, yeah. Bye.
Thank you very much, Teemu, for coming to join us. Now, that's about all we have time for here live on the Global Sim Racing Channel. It's been an absolute pleasure to call this race here with my wonderful colleague, Ossian Puaka. Now, I'd like to give a big thank to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast that are listed here on your screen. And if you're looking to take advantage of GSRC's over 1 million global monthly impressions, you can use from official series sponsorships to commercial placements. We have advertising options customizable to suit your company's needs. You can follow the link in our description to learn more or get in touch with us here on globalsimracingchannel.com. Additional thanks also to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music for the broadcast, and you can go into Bandcamp to find her site as well. Thanks as always to the wonderful Ossian, Sean and Dougie for today's broadcast. If you'd like to find out more about us here at GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Or you can check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRCgram. You can also represent GSRC out on the track by getting hold of some GSRC merchandise at gsrc.storeenvy.com. Don't forget to head on over to our YouTube page and hit that big red subscribe button as well, so that you don't miss a moment here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.